Well, folks, spring is in the air once again. And you know what else is in the air? Pollen. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Yes, spring, it's a transition period. We're coming from the cold winters, and before long, the hot summers will be here. And you know, I really like wearing a mix of fragrances. I don't always like to wear fresh. I don't always like to wear sweet, warm, powerful fragrances. I like to mix it up. And in spring, I have many opportunities to do just that. In spring, we get some extreme weather changes. The weather changes from hour to hour. And also we experience a lot of temperature fluctuations. So sometimes it's quite cold. Other times it can be quite warm. So yeah, the point is in spring, we have a lot of different opportunities to wear different fragrances. So that's why on this list, I've included a little bit of everything. We have warm fragrances, we have fresh, we have a little bit of everything. But specifically these 8 fragrances I feel shine their brightest in the spring. First on the list is La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Parfum by Yves Saint Laurent. The main notes in this one are lavender, cardamom, and sandalwood. By the way, this is the 2019 version, the original. This is not the modern re-release. Anyway, this one here reminds me of the OG La Nuit de l'Homme. There's a heavy dose of cardamom, yes, so it gives a warm spiciness. Also a good amount of lavender to add a little bit of an aromatic character. Kind of reminiscent of like classic male colognes kind of thing without going all the way into aromatic fougere territory. That warm spice and the floral aromatic nature, those are met with a really nice dose of sandalwood. The sandalwood it almost has a little bit of a spice to it in a way, maybe reminds me a little bit of like cinnamon or something off in the distance. But yeah, that sandalwood is there and it's really nice. It starts out quite woody, but there's a little bit of a pencil shavings characteristic to this one as well, which I really, really like. But yeah, all in all, this is like the original La Nuit de l'Homme with a definite woody character in the dry down. Also, this one here improves, I don't want to say it completely fixes, but it improves on the piss poor performance of the original La Nuit de l'Homme. Now, the reason I don't say that it completely fixes that issue is because at the end of the day, this is still quite a light fragrance. You can absolutely get away with spraying this a million times on you. You're never going to offend anybody. Perfect for the office, perfect for dates, because this is a very sensual yet professional masculine fragrance. It's La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Parfum from YSL. Next up is Bois Impérial Extrait by Essential Parfum. The main notes in this one are Szechuan pepper, leather, pine, and Akigala wood. So this provides the same type of warm, futuristic, woody spice as the original Eau de Parfum, but this adds a big dose of leather and some pine on top of it. The leather in this starts off quite potent, at least at first, but that leather gradually dries down to a very smooth, sexy, enveloping leather that is very likable, very agreeable. Also, there's a good amount of pine in here, which gives a sweet kind of balsamic texture to this. It's like kind of like rubbing sap between your fingers with a very piney, almost minty, camphoraceous scent on top of that. Very interesting what they've done here. And, you know, throughout the rest of the lifespan, we do get some serious reminders of the original Eau de Parfum. This one here is warmer than the original. This one here is smoother than the original, but it's also darker. And I would consider wearing this more so at formal events or special occasions, whereas the EDP is more of a daily driver for me. I also feel like this does much better in the cold than the original Eau de Parfum. And yeah, I think it's very good for spring weather, especially at nighttime. Next one is my personal favorite. It's Vetiver Patchouli by Montale. The main notes in this one are carrot, vetiver, and patchouli. So it opens up with that really nice mineralic, slightly aquatic carrot. Adds a really beautiful mineralic freshness to this. A little bit watery too, like I said. Very unique opening. Dries down with vetiver and patchouli. This reminds me of, you know, walking across a green field in the springtime in the morning. You know, maybe there's some dew on the leaves, on the grass, and everything like that. You can still smell the dampness in the air, but there's a crispness to it as well. You can smell the the forest floor from a few meters away. There's some leaves, there's some foliage on the ground. You get that damp smell in the air, maybe a little bit of mossiness to it as well. And the patchouli adds just a touch of like a vague, warm sweetness in the background. Utterly incredible fragrance, like perfect for spring, although I do wear this year round. I feel like in spring it does its best. So fresh, so uplifting, yet it's got a little bit of a warmth. It's so classy, it's so versatile. It's a little bit simple in terms of scent profile, but Montale has just done such a beautiful job of combining two of the most commonly used fragrance ingredients, vetiver and patchouli, to make something absolutely spectacular. I love this one, especially in the spring. And this is a little bit of a sleeper, you know, out of Montale's entire repertoire, this is not one of the most talked about fragrances, which I don't understand. I think it's absolutely one of their best. And it's super versatile, casual, smells great. It's Vetiver Patchouli by Montale. Next up, it's Incense Oud from Parfum de Nicolaï. The main notes in this one are negermatha, rose, cinnamon, and vanilla. Opens up very green, astringent, kind of medicinal, slightly fruity because of that combination of the rose and the negermatha, but it gives a very woody sensation to this as well. Almost a bit of a mossiness there in the background. Admittedly, the opening is a little bit intense, but this dries down to a very classic soapy style fragrance, maybe with a little bit of like a mossy nuance in the background as well. Definitely there's a foresty vibe to this fragrance here, which is why it's on my favorite spring list. This reminds me of like, you know, being in the forest. There's some dew on the trees. The air is crisp. There's dampness. There's foliage, all that stuff. Woodiness. You know, it reminds me of being in like a damp, cool forest. In the dry down though, it does go quite classic and vintage style because of the combination of that vanilla and cinnamon. When I say vanilla, it's not a sweet vanilla. It's a very powdery, dry vanilla mixed with like an earthy, dry, semi-sweet cinnamon. Really reminds me of like classic soapy fragrances, which in fact is what this house is most known for. Anyway, so you get that woody, foresty vibe, and it's resting on a vintage, soapy base. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the best fragrances ever, in my opinion, especially in that vintage genre. The stuff is absolutely spectacular. The performance is very, very good, and it's evocative. It really takes me to a forest scene on a spring morning. It's Incense Oud by Nicolaï. Next up, it's African Leather by Memo Paris. The main notes in this one are cardamom, geranium, and amber. So yes, a leather fragrance, this is not. This leans more into that Oriental Fougere territory for me. We get a very beautiful, one of the best uses of cardamom in all of perfumery, in my opinion, in the opening. Sweet, warm spice with a definite green pepperiness to it. Ooh, it is absolutely fantastic, this opening. I'm so in love with it. Met with some geranium, giving it a floral, kind of creamy, ever so slightly minty characteristic. Absolutely beautiful. Like I said, reminding me a little bit of like the Fougere style without going old school. This remains modern and warm and ever so slightly sweet. This definitely dries down with some amber. There's a warm kind of sweetness in the bottom. And yeah, it never goes cloyingly sweet or anything like that. It never goes juvenile, but at the same time, it is quite mass appealing. Like I said, not really any leather to my nose. Maybe in the far dry down, there's some vague suede-like components. But anyway, I don't even include leather in one of the main notes of this one here. Very good quality blending in this one. It's very niche in the way it comes off without being too hard to approach. Like I said, this garners a lot of compliments. People generally tend to love this one out in public, but there's a very definite warmth to this one here. I love wearing this all year round, actually, but especially in the spring at night when I'm going out on the town or something like that. Really perfect for situations like that. It's perfect for being outdoors, but you could wear it to the office as well. Very versatile fragrance, mass appealing with very high quality. In the warm, spicy genre of fragrances, it doesn't get much better than this, guys. African Leather by Memo Paris. Next on the list, guys, is George F. Trumper's Sandalwood Cologne. The main notes in this one are lemon, cloves, and sandalwood. So this is an aromatic fougere with a twist. It opens up with a candied lemon, a dry lemon with a sweetness to it. It almost reminds me of like one of those old-fashioned lemon candies with powdered sugar on top. Kind of what I get in the opening here, and it's really nice. Doesn't go juvenile or youthful or anything like that. Lots of cloves in the mid here, lots of cloves. Very spicy fragrance, but it's not a biting or a jarring type of spice. The spice in this, while very present, is actually done quite smoothly in this fragrance. And that smoothness is further amplified in the dry down with a beautiful dose of sandalwood. It's got a bit of a creamy characteristic, but the sandalwood also goes a little bit boozy, reminds me like of polished wood. Same type of sandalwood that's being used in Cartier's Pacha Parfum. Yeah, so it's that kind of fragrance. This stuff here, absolutely classic, but not dated, to the point where I feel like a lot of younger guys might even like this one here. It's super good, super versatile, but it's a little bit of a fresh take on that oriental or aromatic fougere style because of that lemon in the opening, the sweet lemon. It's just such an interesting fragrance here. Now, this one is a little bit difficult to sample, so I'll give you some comparisons to more well-known fragrances. Definitely smells similar to Chanel's Egoist, although this is not quite as old-fashioned as that one in my opinion. This one also reminds me a hell of a lot of the original Old Spice St. John's Bay Rum Aftershave. We get that sweet clove spice throughout the entire life of this one here. But yeah, like that sandalwood in the bottom, this is so incredible. One of the most underrated sandalwood fragrances, hands down. Although admittedly this one does have a cult following, but generally only among niche enthusiasts. I'm going to post a link down here, guys, where you can actually get this one in the United States. It's not the easiest fragrance to find, but I'll help you guys out. It can be found. This is George F. Trumper's Sandalwood Cologne. By the way, for an eau de cologne concentration, which I'm not entirely convinced is actually what it is, the performance is quite good. This is an all-day fragrance, and it has a considerable presence to it as well. Next up, it's Le Mal in Bleu by Jean-Paul Gaultier. The main notes in this one here are anise, benzoin, and lavender. So you definitely get that original Le Mal DNA. You get that sweet lavender. So it's kind of like classic Oriental fougere. Definitely smells grown up. Definitely smells masculine. You know what I mean? It's got a sweet freshness to it. Definitely some aromatic components from the lavender. But this one here has a huge dose of anise. So it smells like licorice, like a soft, sweet licorice. Also, there's a little bit of a metallic component coming from that anise as well. This smells mature, definitely, but not quite as dated as the original Le Mal because there's a big dose of benzoin in this one as well. So a vanillic sweetness with a little bit of a resinous component as well. Despite that, it does not go cloying like I find Ultra Mal does or Le Mal Elixir. Actually, many members of this line are very sweet and cloying in my opinion. This one here retains that maturity, that refinement, that class that the first original OG Le Mal was known for. But, you know, it's a little bit modernized, absolutely. It's more appealing to younger guys, I would say, compared to the original. It's sweet, but it's not overly sweet. It's got that floral shave creamy freshness to it that keeps it mature, keeps it from going juvenile, with that huge dose of licorice, which I absolutely love. Granted, not everybody does. This has been a little bit of a polarizing release. It is a limited edition. But yeah, I recommend to you, if you like the original Le Mal and you also love licorice, run out and get this while you still can. I think it's absolutely incredible. It's quite versatile. My girlfriend loves it, which is a huge barometer that I use. You know, is it going to be something that I keep in my collection or am I going to get rid of it? You know, it's passed the girlfriend test, which is extremely important. More importantly, though, I love it. I absolutely think this is a phenomenal release. By the way, performance, incredible. I don't know what other influencers are talking about. This stuff has really good performance. And number one on this list is Absolue de Mousse by Rogue Perfumery. The main notes in this one are moss, olibanum, and artemisia. This opens up with some artemisia, so it's a very bitter herbal smell we get in the beginning. It's like taking a fresh green leaf from the woods, rolling it through your fingers. We get that kind of smell, which admittedly might be a little bit polarizing for a lot of people. However, later on, like after 5 minutes, the moss comes into play. Beautiful, beautiful, realistic moss. It's like putting your nose right up to a tree, sniffing it. It's like moss through and through. Reminds me of all those old classic aromatic fougere fragrances. The moss in this, absolutely incredible. Fresh, damp, woody with a little bit of sweetness to it. And in the dry down, there's some olibanum, which gives kind of like a smoky, resinous quality to it. Kind of like incense in a way, but not quite as ecclesiastical. I do get a little bit of like a resinous incense stick quality in this. And there's a touch of like a burnt smokiness at the very end, which keeps this very interesting. Total forest vibes in the spring here. It's absolutely, the imagery that this one conveys is spectacular. Because as a scent itself, it is great. One of the best uses of moss I've ever come across. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit linear. It's not the most complex fragrance out there. The performance is good, not great, definitely not weak, but it's nowhere near being beast mode. All in all, I like this because, like I said, the imagery that it conveys. I know that whenever I choose to spray this on, no matter how I'm feeling that day, no matter what I'm doing, this will transport me to a damp forest on a spring morning. Trees covered in moss, dampness, woodiness, a vague kind of sweetness in the air. Like I said, with that interesting smoky dry down. It's such a good fragrance here from the House of Rogue Perfume. By the way, if you like vintage, classic style male fragrances, you have to check out this house, Rogue Perfumery, one of the best for that genre of fragrances. Anyway, guys, that concludes my list of 8 best spring fragrances for this year. How about you? What are you guys wearing this spring? What are your favorite spring fragrances? To you, what makes a good spring fragrance? Let's get the conversation going in the comments, guys. I have to take off for now. I'll see you soon. Until next time, keep it real.